Hey, what is going on, everyone? Blake Alberts here with BME Lawn Care at the 2023 LAL in Michigan. Just met Owen today from the Ground Up Landscaping. Where are you from?
Just south of Chicago. We're like near Joliet. It's a small town called Manhattan.
Nice. We were talking earlier. You came up, shook my hand. I appreciate it. You were asking some questions about buying companies, and you've done it a couple times.
I have.
And we got deep into the conversation like a half hour in. I'm like, dude, this is golden. We need to sit down and really talk on camera because I'm learning, you're learning, and I think other people could really learn from this. And I've gotten questions a lot now that I've shared it publicly, what we did. So real quick, where's your business at today, and how'd you get there?
Right now, I would say we're probably doing between 500,000 and 600,000 landscaping. We have a separate snow removal company that just totally outgrew what we were doing with landscaping, and I wanted to bring my brother and dad in on that, so separated that.
Here, pull this in just a little bit more.
A little more?
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah.
All right. And so landscaping-wise started in 2018, somewhere right around there, and just kind of slow scale grew it, and brought it up to a pretty good size. And then I had 3 companies in my area reach out to me, ask if I wanted to acquire them. Looked into it a little bit, decided I was going to. That brought us up to like 275 residential clients on top of our commercial stuff that we had. So that was a little bit stressful doing that with 3 guys and myself. Lot of long days. Burnt them out, burnt myself out. Was in the process of, getting engaged, got married. Just decided I needed to scale that back a little bit. Did that, dropped down. We're right around between 150 and 175 total clients now for landscaping, lawn care stuff. That kind of brings us to where we're at right now.
Why do you keep the snow removal and the landscaping company separate?
So honestly, at the time, I did it for tax reasons.
Okay.
Just because my first year doing snow, I did it by myself, like solely by myself. Had nobody to help me out. Went out and knocked on doors, and I did $65,000 in revenue. Saw there was potential for it. The next year, I was like, all right, let's see what I can do with me and one other truck, a couple guys shoveling, and I ended up doing like $195,000, like that. And it was like, okay, I see that this is gonna go somewhere. So that would be 21. So then what? Last year? No, 2 years ago, I brought in my brother and my dad on the business. Decided we were going to separate it just because if it stayed the same, then legally speaking, they would have been part owners of my landscaping company as well. Yeah. So it worked out. So it was like, okay, separated already. Let's do this. And so split that up. They're 50-50 owners with me. Well, I'm 50. They're 25 each. 2 years ago, we did like 450,000 in snow, and then last year we matched that, but we only got 9.5 inches of snow last year. So this year we've already locked in all the same clients we had last year. In addition to that, we added probably, another 20% or so, and then now with this other stuff, we might.
So the story gets interesting and crazy and exciting.
Yeah, very.
So you already have a super successful business. First and foremost, you guys are doing $1 million a year.
Yeah.
But you brought me this situation that you're in, which is wild. When you're talking about, just give us a hint, because I already know, but it's going to blow your mind of the potential of what you have going on.
Yeah, so I totally view it as a God thing that happened. I was at my church at a small group, and I went and grabbed one of the pastors, and I was like, hey, man, I just feel like I'm struggling. Like I've been spinning my wheels in mud. Like I can't grow, which I know is just so not right, because if I sit down and look at it, I have been growing. But I feel like I've been in this spot where I've been stuck because I went up to 275, came back down. Now I've been slowly growing. Had a baby this year. I pumped the brakes on it, and I was like, I'm just going to take a lot of time to learn how to be a better leader, mentor, manager, structures and systems in the business, all of that, to make sure that, I don't know, I could actually grow the right way this time without burning everybody out. So it was all of that stuff. I kind of just felt stuck, and I was talking to him, and he just was like, have you ever talked to this guy? He owns a company in our town. And I was like, no. And he was like, well, I'm going to put you in an email with him, and maybe you can just toss some ideas out there about the way he worked through his issues. And a lot of it was I was having trouble finding, because I changed my mindset of just trying to fill warm bodies to I want to find quality candidates and look for people that actually take pride in their work. And that's where I was like having a big hang up, is like, I can find guys to just come out here, but I don't want that. I want to be able to be people who care about what they do and want to grow and keep this business going. So he was like, I'll set you up with him, because me and him were just talking about that like a week and a half ago. So he sent an email, reached out to the guy, and I sent the guy a message and said, hey, I just want to sit down with you. I have these questions about this. And also I heard you might be selling your business. Would you be interested in selling off any of your clients? And he was just like, oh, I just want to sit down and meet with you first. And we can talk about your questions, and then we can go from there. And I was like, all right. That last part, me asking about buying the clients, was really all secondary for me. I wasn't have any intention of that. So went and sat down with him. We talked for an hour and a half. I got to know him. He got to know me. Answered a lot of my questions that I had.
You were just asking like business
questions only. Like, how do you manage one, business, personal life, because it gets difficult for me. Two, if you're friends with somebody who works with you, how do you manage that relationship so it doesn't burn any bridges? And then just a bunch of stuff like that. It was just very similar to that. Nothing to do with me acquiring any clients or anything of that sort. And I just told him, I was like, I was very thankful for the conversation we had. And I'm like, by the way, would you be interested in selling off any of your clients? And he's like, I have two other businesses looking at my business right now. But for some reason, I feel like God's putting it on my heart to maybe give this to you. And I was just like, whoa, that is out of left field. So I was really caught off guard by that. I was like, okay, we got to set up another meeting to see what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm going to have an answer from those other two companies by this following Friday. So and we met on a Saturday, so the next Friday, he's like, I'll have an answer for you. He sent me a text on Sunday morning and was like, hey, I'd like to meet with you. I'd like to discuss further. And I was like, can you do Tuesday? He said, yeah, we can do Tuesday. So we sat down Tuesday, and I just asked him what he meant by his text that he sent to me, and he said, well, if the running order before was these two companies and then you, if you're even considered in it, you're now up here. And those other two, I'm kind of taken off the board if it's something that you're interested in. And I was like, what do you mean by this? Like me taking over some clients? Because that's all I was looking for. And he said, no, the whole thing.
And we need to preface this by saying that it is a $2 million company.
Yeah. It's not just a taking over another smaller company.
That is wild, dude.
It's a large size operation. They have 16 employees currently, 15 trucks that they run. They do a mix of everything: spray work, maintenance work, landscaping, pond work,
wow,
snow removal, everything.
It's crazy. So, however deep you want to get into the details of how that acquisition might work, but you were asking me some questions, and I'm like, well, dude, first off, Dude, you're in a different ball field when you're talking about a $2 million company. It's truly next level. But I think you're just gonna deal with some of the same issues I've been dealing with, but in a larger scale.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna have a lot of learning things. But I think, dude, if it's something you're interested in,
I know
it's a no-brainer.
So luckily he has 2 guys who pretty much ran it for him.
Okay.
The past year, he did a lot. Him and his wife did a lot of the office work, bookkeeping, all of that sort of stuff. So that's what he was in charge of. And then in regards to managing the employees and the field work, he kind of could lean into those 2 guys, knowing that he was planning on retiring. So that's something, like, knowing that he has that there is something that's going to be a huge blessing for me, just because that'll be easier for me to be able to transition through it. Luckily, he said he wasn't planning on leaving until around March of this following year, so we have like all of this winter to walk through things and sit down. He said, because I asked him, I'm like, is this going to be more of a transactional thing where it's transferred over and there you go, or something that can be transformational? And he was like, I fully see this as me being able to mentor you through this winter, and so you're ready to roll in the spring.
How did your previous acquisitions look?
Those were so different. They were solely like, one was my cousin's company.
Yeah.
He had probably 60 clients, and he just was like, hey man, I'm done. Like,
so you bought a list of accounts where, when you're talking about a $2 million business, they're going to have systems in place. I mean, you're going to buy a functioning, breathing thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that thing should run without your total involvement in every step of the business.
It should, and then I should be able to take things that I've learned or am trying to learn and implement them to help grow and become better self-sustaining, if it's not already.
Right.
But yeah, in regards to the other ones, it was just all just maintenance, like clients that I just took on, no equipment, nothing. I didn't need anything at that time, but if it's going to be something along these lines, like equipment has to be involved in it. Hopefully client contracts,
right?
Multiple year contracts that there are involved in it. Unfortunately, he sold all of his snow removal equipment right before, but that's because the 2 companies that we're looking at don't do snow removal.
So you would, in a way, you're going to be able to pay the thing off within a year?
Theoretically, that's the plan.
Yeah. So if you have contracts, so you were telling me that the clients are under contract for at least the next year.
Yeah.
So from surface level, zoom out a little bit, there's not a ton of risk for you. And that's what I was trying to talk to you about. It's like, dude, it could change your life and your business if this is what you want to do. This is probably your once-in-a-lifetime chance to do it. To be able, within a year, have another $2 million coming in. You're probably going to keep $750. It's crazy.
Yeah, mind blown. It's really hard to wrap my head around. And the biggest issue point, like I said to you, that I've been getting stuck on is I've been taking these past 5 years to grow my business.
Yeah,
and I'll call it a successful business. Now, there's things that you learn every day. You're always going to be.
Yeah, and
I'm always improving on that. But for him to say this, even paying the large number that it would end up being is just, to me, doesn't make it feel like it's my own per se.
Yeah.
And that's the hang up.
Yeah. I mean,
feels like I didn't do much to deserve it.
Yeah, but dude, you're taking a risk, a short-term risk in my opinion, for a long-term gain.
I agree.
I mean, if you're running $1 million company, you guys are going to be doing $3 to $4 million a year. In the only way that you can get there, at least in the next I mean, almost immediately, but over the next year or two, would be through an acquisition, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, I could sell ketchup to a person wearing a white suit, but
Yeah.
I can't sell ketchup to 500,000 people wearing white suits in
Right.
a year or 2 years, or even it'd take five. I would say 5 or 7 years just to even be able to get close.
Yeah, and again, that's,
And that's perfect. Like perfect case.
like, you can feel like it's not yours, but like, you had to do everything right in your life to even open up that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So everything you've done up into the moment, somehow he saw something in you that said, hey, my legacy is going to live on, if you take over, versus just another company stamping their name on it and not making the clients happy or whatever. But dude, from my standpoint, I would be just as proud of you running a $4 million company, no matter what. I mean, companies that get acquired all the time, and it's a quick way to grow. But sometimes I think in our industry, it would be the only way to grow, because to buy those 15 trucks, to hire those 16 employees, to get all those accounts, it might cost $1 million.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to get that, and I don't know if you mind sharing how the financing would work, but it would be owner finance, correct?
Yeah. So the way that he described it is he feels, because I'm a man of faith as well, and a man of, from what he can tell, character, that ultimately, if I don't pay him back, I don't answer to him per se, or even in this world, I answer to God.
Yeah.
And he has a trust that he said, I want you to be able to get established. I understand it's a big undertaking, and taking this over, it's not something you're accustomed to, so you can pay me back when you can.
Yeah.
And it's like all of these things leading together. It's like for him to offer that as well when he could go out and get X amount of dollars for it right now.
Yeah.
Is just like, I mean, yeah, it's
wild, dude. It's truly wild, and I think it would cost a lot more money and a lot more time to get to that point,
and probably more headaches than what will arise from this.
Probably. I mean, your time is just going to be spent a lot differently. I mean, just to put it blankly, and you're going to have to hire somebody in the office and whatever. But
I sent him a text today, and I was just like, from going last year, I was in the field every day, and it's been that way up until this year. And this year, I was not in the field as much anymore. We had a baby earlier this year, and like I said, I was trying to take time to teach myself how to be a better leader this year and business owner. And I don't know, I feel like that might have been for a reason.
Yeah.
Why I didn't try to grow my company per se this year compared to years past is it's not like we were at, that's the point I want to be at.
yeah,
It was, all right, I need to make sure that if I go further from here, everything's right. And, maybe it has worked out where everything that I've been working towards this year is what is leading to what will be the next chapter in my life.
that's a wild chapter, dude. And I told you, I'm like, well, once you dive into the finances, hire the attorney to go over everything and help you and the seller do this correctly, and so nobody's going to get squirmy at the end and try to do something. And it sounds like both of the parties are good people, but, money makes people funny sometimes. But once you have all that, I suggested to you, find somebody that you can just get out of your own head. Because if you're just trying to do this in here, you're going to be like, well, I mean, it's going to cost me this amount of money. And these are huge numbers, right? It's going to cost me this amount of money. And it's, you can whack yourself out. And that's why I suggested maybe talking with Corey Ballard or somebody that has been in a position that can help you. Because when you're dealing with millions of dollars, it's more of you're playing chess, dude.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to have $1 million next year. What can I do with it? It's more like, okay, well, we have now this pool, we're going to bring in $3 million. Where does this need to go? Who do we need to hire? Things like that. It's just a different conversation. It's not, if you tell somebody, a normal person that, they're, we can go.
Yeah, they'll just hear the money, and then they'll say,
and you're going to burn
I can go do this, this, and that. And it's like, for me, a big part of it is you have to really humble yourself, because if you're given an opportunity like this, it's like you have a lot of responsibility on your plate. You have, from this current company, 16 employees, and those are 16 people and their families that count on this business to be able to provide for themselves. Granted, they have to go out and do the work, but that's their job, and they count on the person in charge to be managing what they do wisely and not just taking the money and running recklessly with it. And so, not that I'm this perfect saint with money, but I feel like from life experiences and my childhood growing up, I have a good understanding of the value of things, and understanding that what a dollar it really stands for.
Yeah.
So,
And, dude, you're just going to have to change as a person, as a leader, as a owner, as an employer. I mean, but I think it's fun. Like, I think if that's where the direction you want to go, I truly believe you won't get another opportunity like this one. We dove into the numbers a little bit more. But, dude, it sounds like an incredible opportunity, and I'm super happy for you, and I cannot wait to see how it works out, because, not everybody can get to a business of that size. It's truly incredible, dude.
It's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
What are your biggest worries and fears with it?
I would say, above all else, is just making sure that I can keep my head level. Going back to what I said, it's a lot of responsibility between making sure it's something that, the owner of it right now said that he wants to kind of live vicariously through me and have me be an adopted son to him, because he sees something in me that I guess I don't even see in myself. But making sure that I'm just a steward of it. It's none of it's ours. We can't take it with us when we die.
Yep.
And so we're called to manage things when we're blessed with them and take care of them as if they're our own. And, that's the only thing I can do. Obviously, enjoy things while you can.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would say concern is just going to be probably a little bit of a different mindset, switching that.
So your concern is you, your head, your brain. I agree, dude. I think it's that's why I said you just got to get it out. Like, you got to have somebody mentor you, whether that's somebody at your church or maybe even the previous owner for a while, just to
it's got to be
help
someone
you understand,
who's been not necessarily in the same shoes, but similar in a sense. Like, so my great uncle, he used to work for a company, and I'm actually been kind of leaning into him a little bit, but he used to work for a company, and it was given to him, big company as well. And so I've been trying to use him as somewhat of a resource. Kind of hard because he lives in California, but they make phones, so make some phone calls to him, and that's what I've been trying to do. But to me, it's like, okay, it's almost worth flying out there a handful of times just to sit with him and understand better. But anybody who is similar to that sort of, they've been through that certain experience before, or they run a multi-million-dollar business, someone in that realm who can learn how to keep a level head.
Yeah, I almost think you need somebody that can help you with keeping you correct and not wild-headed, but you also need somebody that's been in the millions that can help you with the numbers, I just feel like that's where it's just a different game. And that's where I said earlier, I'm like, I love talking to you about it, but again, I think it's the next level that I'm not used to, I bet the taxes are different. I can't imagine what the insurance is going to cost. And that might freak you out from the position you're in now. But again, you're going to have a bigger pool to play with.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
So you just have to keep those things in check, you know?
It's like I'm taking every number I have currently and adding a 0 to it.
Yeah.
And it's the same, but it's very different.
Yeah, like when you tell me your gas bill next year, I'm going to be like, dude, we couldn't afford that. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you talk to like a Corey and he knows that scale, you know, he knows what percentage it's supposed to be. And you know what I'm saying? So just getting good people around you, and it's wild that they're all here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's where do you get this? You don't get this every day.
No.
You know?
No,
So
and that's why coming to these sort of things is so important.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get massive opportunities as such, it's surround yourself with these people as much as you can, and then come to the events that are had so that you can, I don't know, when you're sitting at your table feeling like super stressed out like I was, and you just look over and you're like, okay, I know one person who's gotten a company here. I'm just going to go talk to him. It might not even be on the same scale, but that was you. It's like, I know you've gone through an acquisition of a company, and it's like, okay, how does this look for you?
Yeah. And I told you the things that got exposed just from ours, which it's the same. It's doubling. So you learn a lot. Like, okay, well, it worked when we were here. And the things you're doing now won't work. Not all of it will work then. Like I told you, dude, you guys are going to have to focus. You're going to focus on your employees, the direction of your company, and making sure that all of those things are in check. Your expenses, your income. Because you, at that point in business, your billing has to be solid.
It has to.
It's got to be solid, or that's it. So that's all going to have to be secondary thought. You're going to have to focus on, hey, are my employees happy? Is everybody showing up to work? You know, where are we going? Where are we taking this thing? What can we do differently? What inefficiencies can we solve? Things like that, you know, at that scale. You on a mower is like, what does that even mean? Or you on a sprayer? You know, you're just at a different level.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, dude. I'm super happy to even be able to meet you and talk to you, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Do you do anything on social media stuff?
Yeah, so I have Instagram.
What is it?
It's From the Ground Up Landscaping.
Okay.
Facebook as well, and I'm actually starting a podcast here pretty soon, and a YouTube channel. I've been.
What are the names?
I'm working on that.
From the Ground Up Landscaping.
From the Ground Up Landscaping. I'm working on that. I've been bouncing stuff off of Jeremiah just because.
Okay, nice.
Brian told me like 5 years ago I should have gotten into it, and I just.
Well, dude, what a perfect time. I mean, you're gonna have. Listen. Anything you learn and experience, you're gonna have content for years, because every day is gonna be something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from what you got going on. So, the last thing I wanted to talk or ask you is, like, what advice do you have for people? Because I mean, listen, you still have $1 million company, which is truly amazing. How did you get there? What tips do you have for people?
Obviously, you have to put in long, hard days, and that's just a given. But that shouldn't be a given for you to do that every day.
Yeah.
Making sure you prioritize quality time with your family, as well as making time for yourself so that your brain can have a break from things, to be able to.
And how do you do that? That's what everybody wants to know. How do you have a work-life balance?
For me, I've set myself a schedule where it doesn't matter what day it is or what time per se it is, but it's that I golf. So for me, it's making sure that I get out and golf at least once a week. I know you might not be able to do that when it's your very, very first couple weeks or first year in business or so, but whatever that thing is for you, if it's, you know, walking around in nature or whatever it is.
I hope we get to go golfing one day, dude.
I'd love to. I
played golf in high school. I wasn't ever great. I was okay. But over the years, I just haven't been able to get out as much. So I've kind of dwindled. But
yeah, I'm better now than I was in high school.
I see Caleb and Brian's videos. I'm like, bro, we're gonna have to go golfing. I'll just show you a couple things, man.
Brian's swing is quite interesting. But yeah, that's what that is for me. Is
an escape, something.
It's an escape, and even if I think about business stuff, it like I am distracting myself with something else to allow my brain to have clarity to focus on whatever it is that I'm focused on. But in regards to actually growing the business, you have to find not necessarily all the right people at once, but if you can find one good guy, you make sure you take care of him.
Sorry, Comic-Con's this week, and I just saw a dude with his shirt off, a leather dress and a wig, and I just
Don't forget the sword.
and a sword and tails and like I don't even know, bro. Sorry, I just couldn't hold that one in.
There's
It's
been
just so
some
funny.
interesting ones that I've seen so far today. But yeah, so making sure you find at least one right guy, and if you can't figure out how to find that person, something that you can do in your interview process is ask them about themselves and their personal life compared to, can you do this, this, and that? Something that's more important than making sure a person knows what you're doing is making sure that they have a good character, because you can always train someone how to do something.
How many employees do you have now?
It's probably 4 full-time,
Okay.
3 full-time now.
This is such a good topic, and we won't roll too much longer, but how do you make them happy right now? And how are you planning on making now 20 employees happy? Because it's not all about money.
No, it's not. Because I tried to solve it with money before, and that didn't work.
And by the way, a ton of conversations I've had here are people that made 6 figures working on in a corporate job.
Yeah.
And they went and started their own company. That's not because of the pay.
No, it's about the culture you set, and I learned that the hard way. It's like you said, it's not about money. It's not about it feeds into it. Like, you can't come out here and not make enough money to
Right.
eat, but
Yeah.
making sure that your guys feel
Batman. That's a pretty good one, actually. Like full costume.
Batman and Superman.
That is, dude.
Batman smokes cigarettes.
Batman. No wonder his voice sounds like that. All right. Sorry.
You're good.
These are awesome, dude. Oh, she's got the whip out. She's literally smoking and whipping Catwoman. This is great, dude.
I can't believe this is real. Hey, we can go make some quilts too.
It's awesome. I mean, what worlds we have here.
It is all over the place.
Bunch of lawn dudes, Comic-Con, and a bunch of old ladies sewing.
It's a good mix. Something that I've been trying to do is at the end of every week ask the guys what I can be doing better. And what ways they think that we can improve as a business, but not only that, but also me personally, how I can be a better leader to them. And I learned all of this stuff the hard way because I didn't ask these questions, burned them out, worked them way too much. Thought I paid them enough, but that didn't matter. They all left. And so learning that the hard way, if you can learn that lesson before you do it the hard way, it makes your life a lot easier.
I was listening to somebody the other day. He was like a famous speaker or something, but he was saying that his right-hand person left the job. Oh, it was about vision of the company. Left his company for less pay. She was leaving, and he's like, well, how much could I pay you to stay? And she goes, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to make less money, but it's because was it Jeff Joyner? I don't know who it was. Now I'm trying to think. I have a bad memory, but no, there was no vision of the company. Nobody knew where we were going, why we were doing what we do every day.
And that's truly where I was up until this year.
Yeah.
I mean, even till the midpoint of this year. I think what really kicked me in my gut was my main right-hand guy left. And I thought I had laid out a clear vision to him, and there was other circumstances as well. His wife got a job. They were moving 2.5 hours away, and it was a lot of that. But I think he felt a lot of maybe resentment towards me, which was deserved because I would say I was not being a good leader or boss towards him. And that's something that
Resentment for why?
Probably because in the beginning of this year, I mean, I took a chunk of time off when my wife had a baby, and I was going through some personal stuff as well, which I didn't share with any of them at the time. Now, I didn't need to get in detail with it, but I probably should have shared, like, hey, guys, like, I got some stuff going on that's not going to allow me to be out in the field, which is what was hard because I was in the field every day.
Yeah.
And then I was transitioning out of that, and I didn't make a clear guideline of, like, what this is going to look like, what responsibilities you're going to take over from me. And I think a lot of it was just, like, he had one thought of this is what it's supposed to be, and now this is what he's saying to add to that, and that's not.
So now going forward, because let's just face it, you're not going to be out in the field anymore.
Yeah, it's
So
gonna
how are you going to go about this differently now?
be,
And by the way, I'm like learning right now. I'm just trying to ask a question that I'm like, dude, I want to know this.
I'm definitely going to have a sit down with each of the guys individually to see their thoughts and their plans over the next 2 years. And
Okay.
obviously that'll turn into 5 years, but I want to say 2 years just because a lot of people can focus on that. And then from that, where they see the company going and where they see themselves going. And then with that, I'm going to take that stuff, sit down, figure out a plan for what the business is actually, okay, this is what we need to keep doing, and this is where I'd like to get us to. Share that with the guys, and I'll take input from them. I'll listen to them and hear them out on thoughts that they have. But ultimately, it's going to have to be me who makes a decision for the business, but with a grain of salt. Like, I might have 3 guys disagree with me, but 14 of them agree. We have to do what's good for the majority of what the company says. Now, that can get hard if you have a lot of people voting against what is true. I don't know. It's going to be a learning curve for me. I'm going to have to lean into a lot of people that have run businesses with 10-plus employees so that I can get a better understanding of it. Because in the winter, I've run 30 guys before, and it's been absolute chaos. It's,
Dude, it might be a little crazy for a while, but you're going to just have to find a plan to the chaos,
Yeah.
Organized chaos.
It's organized chaos is what it is.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, I appreciate I feel like we actually have like a friendship forming, and I didn't know you an hour ago, you know. It's kind of cool. That's what you get here. I mean, we just started talking, and I'm like, man, I jive with this guy, man. So I'm super excited. Can't wait to hear the podcast, man. Where can people find you again?
From the Ground Up Landscaping on Instagram and Facebook.
And you're going to document this process, right?
We're going to document this process.
This is cool.
And so I was going to make a YouTube channel before any of this happened. I was going to make a podcast before any of this happened. I might have to make 2 separate ones because I had an idea of what both of those were going to look like, and now I think it's going to change because I'm probably going to want to talk and document this whole process so that, 1, I can learn, and 2, other people can learn, and 3, so I can go back and look at it when I'm old and gray, and I can say
it'll be cool to show your kids.
Yeah, and
say,
look at what I went through step by step. Like, you can literally hear, you can see it, you can witness, you can see what I was thinking.
I don't think I ever said this out loud, but we went through all the numbers. Like, that's what I told you earlier. Go through, do the crappy work of going through the P&Ls and digging deep in the numbers. Then put that away. Like, once you're done with it, be done with it and think, is this where I want to go? Okay. My wife, we're all on the same page. And I sat down with myself and I go, okay, in 10 years, when my kids are older and they can understand life, what am I going to set? Like, what example am I going to set for my kids? That I had an opportunity to come to the table. It made sense, but that little boy inside me was too scared to take that jump.
Yeah, I think that's imposter syndrome.
Exactly. So that was like my last 5% to get me to go through with it. It was that, dude. It was like, if I want my kids to believe that they can go out and do anything in this world, then I have to believe that too, and I have to act like that. So when you get to tell your kids, when they understand, they can still be kids and be 12 and be like, oh, my dad has $4 million company. But when they understand, dude, it took me maybe till last year to understand the real world and life, and especially when you have your own kids, it's like, my dad did that, and he didn't do it for him. He did it for us. He did it for my kids, his grandkids. It's like, dude, that's cool. And that helped me be like, okay, well, if I'm going to tell my kids their whole life they can go out and do anything, and then I'm over here scared in the corner and I don't take the actions, you're just a total liar, dude.
Yeah, it's very hard for them to have faith in what you're saying.
But when they see their dad crushing it, their parents crushing it, it's like that's motivating, you know? So that's it, bro. We're ending it. I can't wait to hear the podcast, watch the videos. We're out of here. LAL. Nice to meet you, Owen.
You
from the Ground Up Landscaping, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Adios, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the B&B Lawn Care Podcast. We hope you got some golden nuggets that you can implement into your lawn and landscaping business. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure and leave us a 5-star review. Connect with us on all social media platforms by searching at BB Lawn Care KC. Keep grinding, keep striping, and stay positive out there, friends.